interesting week it was last week. We had a few surprises, a couple of really big-time performances. The two teams that come to mind, Munster. We kind of left them for dead. We said Munster or Morton's going to score early and often. They didn't score at all.
Well, I told you it was going to be closer than everybody thought.
Well, you were right about that.
I just didn't think that Munster was going to win, especially with Seth Gutwine out last week.
That's my biggest thing. That's like the biggest playmaker, and he was out.
So definitely, I give props to Munster. I definitely didn't see that coming. They shut out Morton 14-0, and a couple of DAC surprises. Obviously, Chesterton kind of fell apart. They melted your power play, Bob.
In the fourth quarter.
Yep, and the Vikings come away with the victory, and they're 3-0 now in the DAC. So that was a big win for Valpo.
Maybe it says something for who you play. We talked about this with Chesterton, kind of tweaking their non-conference games, but with Valpo playing Penn and Homestead, now they got blitzed by Penn pretty good, but they were competitive in their loss to Homestead, who traditionally is one of the top three teams year in and year out in Fort Wayne. Maybe that's done a world of good going into the dueling slate for Dave Coyle's Vikings ball club. And hey, you can't complain with 3-0 and a shot to go 4-0 this week.
Hey, they win this game on Friday.
That sets up the mega
matchup.
matchup.
Undefeated matchup next week against Maryville.
At Viking Field, yeah.
Definitely. Wow, what a turnaround for the Vikings. And then, of course, I got to give a shout out to Portage Indians. We were at the game on Friday, and this has been a matchup that Crown Point's just dominated over the years. But what a complete team effort it was for the Indians. Defensively, they scored 2 touchdowns. Offense, slinging the ball around pretty good. Just what a complete performance it was for Portage, and they've had a pretty nice turnaround as well. They're another team that had to play Penn. First home game of the season, and boy, was it a great homecoming for them. Joe, what did you think about that?
Oh, JT, defensively, I was not surprised one bit. They've been playing solid defense like that all season long. Offensively, I think there was great coaching. Their linebacker from Crown Point was out. They put in a backup, Dietrich. And while McCormick exploited the matchup using Maldonado in the slot, great coaching move by McCormick, and the offense was just clicking.
Yeah, Dietrich did have that one interception at the end of the first half. Got to give him credit for making that play. I think Crown Point's in some trouble right now. 16 points last 3 weeks. They definitely got to pick it up on the offensive side of the ball. Their defense, wasn't that bad. I mean, they did get a lot of stops, but when your offense is, throwing 2 pick sixes and really, other than one decent drive, they really didn't do much the whole game. So Crown Point definitely has a lot they need to work on offensively because they need to get things turned around quick. So guys, let's jump right into things. Wait. We didn't even comment on your game. Andrea and Hobart.
Andrea and Hobart, interesting game, and really it was probably for the first time all year that really the 59ers did not have to rely on Matt DeSomer. Yeah, he had a pretty good game, threw a touchdown pass for Ramon Guerrero. He had a big touchdown run, but really the heavy lifting last week offensively was done by Trevor Berg. Ran for about 175 yards, a couple of touchdowns as well, and the Andrea defense with probably the momentum changer in the game early in the second quarter with a touchdown lead. Hobart had a 1st and goal from the 1. They got stuffed 3 times, and a pass on 4th down broke it up, and really just seemed to deflate Hobart a little bit. Hobart did get a 3-and-out after that, but then after a exchange of punts, DeSomer ripped off his touchdown run. And Hobart tried to make it a little history. They got a touchdown catch from Dre Devereaux in the 4th quarter on a great play, taking the ball away on a fly around away from John Albamonte. But Andrea just made more plays. Hobart really did not play that bad of a ball game last week. I mean, you hold Andrea and that high-powered offense to 28 points, and we've been maligning the Hobart defense all year. They actually played a pretty good game, but just in case Andrea made more plays.
Yeah, I think obviously you get into a hole, 21-point hole against a team like Andrea, and it's certainly hard to climb out of that. Mm-hmm. No matter how good your offense is, you're playing a juggernaut team, especially on your home field. You can't afford to get in that big of a hole. But
I don't have my stat sheets in front of me, but I think we protect that lead. Andrea might have had the ball about 8.5 minutes in that 4th quarter, and that's always a good way to protect the lead too, guys.
Yeah, I did notice during the course of the game, Andrea had the ball inside Hobart's 15-yard line twice. And came away with no points. They didn't even attempt the short field goal, so kind of curious to know what's going on there, special teams wise. Could that be a cause for concern down the road? Maybe so. We don't know. But at any rate, 28-14. Maybe not quite as many points as we anticipated.
No.
But definitely.
Everybody was thinking of a 100-point game, and we didn't even get half that.
Nope.
But still, kudos to the folks. Late switch, for those who did not know, the game was moved Friday morning from Andrea to Hobart due to lightning strike in Andrea that took the lights out of commission. I think Andrea's supposed to be home this week, aren't they? I think, or
nope.
not? Okay, they're on the road. So hopefully,
we're getting ready to talk about them right now.
But hopefully, by the time their next home game comes around, they will have it. But kudos to Bill Mueller and Bob Lover and everybody at Andrea and Hobart for kind of making a seamless transition with the venue. Very late change of venue last week.
Well, speaking of Andrean, we'll start with them on our pick'em list. They're on the road this week. They're playing Highland. Highland's 3-2, but I got to tell you guys something. Through 2 NCC games, the Trojans have not scored a point.
Defensively, they've been pretty good, though, for the most part. They've put together some solid efforts. Last week, George Fields had a couple big runs, as you could expect, but for the most part, I think Highland defensively held their own, but it sounds like they had a lot of misplays on the Hobart side or the Lowell side of the field that really kind of do that. For what Coach Grider said, a couple of mistakes that we don't do. We're up at halftime in this game.
JT, Andrean's by far the best team in that NCC conference. They're going to come away with this game 50-0.
50-0.
59ers, not the 49ers, the 59ers.
Trojans still remain scoreless. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not going to pick against Andrean. But yeah, Highland obviously has their issues offensively. I like the 59ers in this game.
Andrean should win this one comfortably. Really, a couple of games left. KB looms next week, which could be an interesting game. KB's been playing improved ball.
Might give him some fits defensively.
Griffith, even though not having a great year, but still Griffith Andrean is a rivalry game, and there could be a lot of points. And of course, shaping up, if things hold serve, the big one at the Inferno to end the regular season with a potential conference championship matchup.
All right, let's move forward here. Boone Grove, 4-1 start. Can't say enough about what Tony Tinkle's done with that ball club. Playing at Hammond at the Cat Pound. Wildcats have really been sliding lately. Tough loss. They got laid out on pretty good last week by West Side. This is a tough game to call. I mean, I know Boone Grove's 4-1. Probably haven't played the toughest of schedules. Hammond, they did have a nice win over Bowman, but obviously they have their issues with their quarterback. Probably not going to be playing the rest of the season. So.
Yeah, that's tough.
The rest of his life.
That's tough to break with Eric Schreiber Jr. and of course growing up with his dad. Definitely, you hate to see that happen with a concussion. So, and he had some offers possibly at some of the lower level out there. So you hate to see, but definitely in that situation, you got to think health first. And definitely want to say. The best for the Schreiber fan. I know Eric and Adrian went to high school with them, so definitely want to wish them nothing but the best that time. But Hammond High, they've been bit by the injury bug all year. I don't know if they even have 30 kids on their team, and it's been an uphill battle death-wise for Coach Schreiber this year. And you look at Boone Grove, last year Boone Grove at this point was 5-0, then they hit that little bit of a rut when they lost to East Chicago. That's where they also lost Cody Pointer at this point of the season. Boone Grove, I think, is a little bit of a deeper team right now. I like the Wolves on the road.
Bob, I 100% agree with you.
I thought you were going to go 150 for a second.
150% agree with you.
How about that?
You know what? Hammond, they lost their quarterback. That's a huge blow, JT.
Yeah.
The Wolves, they've been playing solid football lately. They had one hiccup on their schedule, just one. But this week they're going to get the job done. Anytime they go on a team that has a name, the Cat Pound, deserves to lose, give me the Wolves, baby.
So you think they're going to get pounded at the Cat Pound?
Oh, no. Actually, I think it's going to be very, very tight game.
If you really want to get specific, it's actually Bernie Kruger Field, also known as the Cat Pound.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Give me the Wildcats then. No, I still think the Boone Grove Wolves go in and get the W.
I agree with you. I think Bob made some really good points. I think Boone Grove does have a little bit more depth, and of course, with Hammond having their quarterback struggles because they were more of an option offense when they had Schreiber in the lineup. So it's really a difficult adjustment to bring a backup in and try to run that same scheme. So I think with the way Boone Grove's playing, I like the Wolves on the road in this
That's a
one.
shame. I mean, Shivers had it last year. He started turning that program around. And then,
They had a win over Morton.
Yes, and then boom. Like I said, injury bug. Not many kids. That's a shame.
Well, maybe they'll get him improved down the road, and see what they got in the tank next year. Just a tough season, tough to deal with as a coach and as a staff.
It's part of the game, injuries, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next matchup. Bowman Academy. They're on the road. They're at Clark, taking on the Pioneers. Joe?
Well, JT, this is maybe the only game I'm picking Clark to win this one, man.
You like Clark?
That's the only game I think all year I'm going to take Clark, but
36.
give me Pioneers.
Clark has only scored 36 points in 5 games, and it was shut out once. So that shutout was against Hyden a couple of weeks ago. Their closest call was against Calumet a couple weeks ago when they lost by 2. Bowman, 2-3. Very competitive loss, I thought, last week against Boone Grove over at VU, only losing 20-8. I think that's going to bode very well, I think, for Coach Nelson's ball club. I like the Eagles in this one.
All right. Well, we got a Clark, we got a Bowman. Make that 2 Bowmans. I'm going with the Eagles.
This isn't basketball, JT.
They're going to win
That's
state
true.
again, by the way.
That's true. This isn't basketball.
Have you seen Mr. Dillard and company playing yet, by the way? They're fun to watch.
I've seen some highlights, and I tell you, I heard that kid's getting recruited by North Carolina, too.
And North Carolina will be coming to the Big Ten soon. We'll see.
How about this matchup here? This is right up your alley, Bob. Delphi, hitting the road. They're traveling up to Hammond. They're going to play Gavitt, the Gladiators. Oracles, Gladiators.
It's quite enlightening, isn't it, guys?
It is.
How about that? Delphi, what can we tell you about the Oracles? They are currently sitting at 2-3. Members of the Hoosier Conference, they have wins over Carroll of Florida. Last week, they took care of the Gophers of Clinton Prairie.
Oh, they beat the Gophers.
Here are their losses on the season. They lost to Twin Lakes 20-8. They lost to West Lafayette 50-6. And Lafayette Central Catholic 49-14. So
Tough losses, but what about Gavitt? What can you tell me about the Gladiators?
Well, we talked last week, or at least I said last week, I think this is a beginning of a nice little run here for the Gladiators. They took care of Roosevelt, Delphi, and Clark, and a Wounded Hammond team. I think Gavitt's going to get a nice run going here. I like the Gladiators at home.
Give me Gavitt, just because I'm sticking with the region, JT. Give me the Gladiators.
I'm sorry, but I got the Oracles. I don't even know what an Oracle is. Do you know, Bob?
Oracle is from Greek mythology, I believe.
Yeah, have you ever seen The Matrix?
No.
The Oracle?
Is there?
Yeah, you never seen The Matrix? What is wrong with you?
I don't know. But
What is wrong with you?
I don't know.
According to, we'll try to get the thoughts here from our friends at Wikipedia, by the way. It's a big software company, by the way, too.
Yeah, we have that program at work.
In classic
unfortunately.
antiquity, an oracle was a person or agency considered to interface wise counsel or prophetic predictions or prerecognition on the future.
Well, their future is pretty
Don't
well
look right at Woodbar Friday, guys.
I think they got a bright future up in Hammond. I think Delphi comes to our region and they show Gavitt what's up.
All right, well, show us what's up on the next game.
All right, the next game, Joe, you're gonna love this one. It's a battle of Gary. It's a battle that Lew Wallace, Roosevelt. It's at Roosevelt. Lew Wallace has only played 2 games so far this year. They're 1-1.
Yeah, they've got a win. How about that?
They have a win. Roosevelt does not. They played 5 games and they haven't won any of them. So this definitely looks to be a very competitive matchup. Guys, do you like the team that's recorded a win, or do you like a team that's played more games?
I really don't know what to think about this game, JT. We were talking earlier. It's like, what game would you really not want to see? And this is the game I really don't want to see. But sadly, I'm gonna go ahead and pick on this one. I'm taking Lew Wallace. They got a W. Roosevelt hasn't. Like I said, I'm taking the team that's actually won a game. They know what it feels like to win.
Glen Park versus the 2-5. I'll take Glen Park. Give me Lew Wallace.
Let's make
We've
that
actually had a game at their stadium.
3 Hornets. 3 Hornets. That's what I'm going with the Hornets as well. Bishop Knoll at Calumet. GSSC matchup. Calumet, tough loss last week to Lake Station, and Bishop Knoll.
Congratulations to Rich Lunsford, by the way.
Oh yeah.
First win of his. I don't know if he's coached anywhere else.
I believe it's his first year.
This is his first year as a head coach.
So yeah, first win.
And it was first win for Lake Station since they beat Calumet last year.
So Bishop Knoll couldn't quite.
There was a good effort.
Yep.
There was a good effort. They put some points on the bowl, on the board, I should say, and in the bowl for that. Scored 26 points, but Whiting was a big play. Probably the best half Whiting played all year. First half, I should say, though. This time, we're talking Bishop Knoll and Calumet.
Yep.
Two teams looking to bounce back from W's. Give me in this battle of the Warriors. I'll take the Blue Warriors over the Red Warriors. Give me Bishop Knoll.
Oh, all day, baby. They're, I believe, the second best team in that conference. Bishop Knoll.
You can't go on a limb and say Warriors here, JT.
I'm taking the Warriors. I'm with you guys. I'll take Bishop Knoll as well. I like. I still see that. I still think they're a little bit better team. Let's move into DAC play. Bob, you're gonna be hosting this game at.
I am.
Well.
Does Janice Quiliza know this?
At least
I'll be there.
At least hosting a broadcast.
They'll let us. They will let us in the press box, and I'll be happy.
Okay, they'll let you in the
Especially
press box.
it's supposed to be a little warmer. It will have the air conditioning.
Well, I know you like that press box over there.
It's
Bob.
air conditioning. It helps. And they got their own.
And I know you like Bob Schellinger.
And they also have their own Wi-Fi in the press box too.
That's interesting.
That's luxury.
Yes, it is.
Well, you're in the luxury suite. Maryville playing like a luxury team right now. How about that win over Michigan State last week? They pounded the Wolves at Ames Field. And Laporte put up a good effort against Lake Central, but just so hard to score on that defense.
Wins, I thought Laporte was going to be my most improved team in the area. They haven't shown it this year, obviously against New Prairie, but for the most part, they've been putting together good efforts. Had Hobart on the ropes at Hobart. In competitive losses, lost to Valpo by 11, lost by 15 to Chesterton. Last week, they were in the game for the most part, knocking Lake Central's the young man Slusher out, but they hung tough, losing 27-7. It's a whole different beast of this week. Obviously, with Maryville at Debris Stadium, which I believe is homecoming this week for the Pirates. Laporte's going to be in a rough go. I like the Pirates big, but looking ahead, Crown Point, Michigan City at Portage. It wouldn't shock me to see the Slicers as they get better and better. They might be able to pick a couple of those last 3 games off.
All right, Bob. What if I gave you Laporte Slicers plus 50 here?
We don't do that.
You know what? I'm taking
we do not talk point spreads here, Mr. NMAB.
I am taking Maryville all day in this game, JT. All day.
All day? All right. Well, yeah, we'll make that 3. I like the way Maryville came out last week. I thought Michigan City would give them a tougher game because Michigan City has been playing better football, but wow.
They scored a touchdown at the end of the half when they were down with 35-0.
You really got to see.
And I think they put a safety on the board in the fourth quarter.
You really got a glimpse of what Maryville's capable of on both sides of the ball. I see more of the same this week. I'm thinking 3 or 4 touchdowns. Maryville gets this done. And let's go to another DAC matchup. This was a very big upset. This might have been the upset of the year in the region last year. Michigan City taking on Lake Central. You guys recall Michigan City shocked everybody by giving Lake Central a loss in conference play last year. What do you think about the Wolves on the road taking on a Lake Central team that might be playing with their 3rd-string quarterback?
Well, last year 20-16 at Ames Field. That was a shocker, really, for Michigan City pointing up. At we talked about this, Joe, ever since they let the game get away to Chester in week 3. This has been a different Michigan City ball club, and they've struggled to put points. They've only scored 16 points the last couple of weeks, only putting 7 against Valpo last week, pointing 9. And now they're playing probably the best defense in Northwest Indiana. Best defense probably in the area in quite some time. Michigan City's got a great offense. They've been struggling to put points there. I think you're going to struggle to find the scoreboard Friday night.
JT, I was sitting in a very chilly stadium in Chesterton last year when they read the score 20-16 Michigan City. It's not going to happen this year, JT.
Not happen?
Not going to happen.
Why not?
Because the Blue Indians are going to shut out Michigan City. I guarantee you a shutout.
Shutout?
I guarantee a shutout.
Goose egg. No points.
Donuts.
Donuts.
I still got a couple of donuts left.
Donuts for the Wolves. Okay.
Do Wolves eat donuts?
I don't
They'll
know.
eat anything.
Well, they're scavengers. And they like to pick on a wounded animal. And right now, Lake Central is a wounded animal. Right? They're down possibly. I don't know what the injury situation is like.
It's Alec Golan. What's up with Alec Golan? Does anybody know?
I don't know. All I know he was in street clothes last week, not playing. I have no idea when or if he'll return this season. I don't know how bad the injury to their second stringer is.
Yeah, he left after the first play of the game
So
last week.
that's bad. I mean, this is tough. I mean, it wouldn't be a shock, especially if they're playing with a third string quarterback. It wouldn't be a shock to see Michigan City steal one. You think about it. Lake Central fumbled inside their own 10-yard line. That's what gave LaPorte their own score. They get a couple of turnovers, mistakes, and they kind of hurt their own cause. Michigan City might be right there in the ball game. But I think I'm going to take the safe pick only because looking back at last week, Michigan City only put up one touchdown at home against Maryville. I think Maryville's an improved defense, but I didn't think they were going to just completely shut down Michigan City's offense. So I think Michigan City put the touchdown on the board, but I think it might be like a 14-7 type of game. I think Lake Central's going to struggle themselves scoring, but I think they can do just enough. Let's move into the NCC. Munster, big win last week. They're 3-2 on the season. Impressive victory on the road at Zlotnick Field over Morton. They're taking on Griffith. Griffith has really been struggling as of late, giving up some big point totals on defense, and the offense has really taken a step back. Bob, can Griffith do anything to ease the pain here?
Justin Green is the man. They're going to have to find a way, but even if Seth Goodwine does not play this week, I think Munster, especially coming off the high of last week, they are more than capable of getting the job done this week. I like Munster on the road at the Boneyard.
I completely agree with you. I mean, how about that coach? Is he on a hot seat over there in Griffith or what?
Well, I don't know. Maybe some of the Griffith supporters, I've heard some bad things from them, but he's in a tough spot right now. But just hard to say. What Griffith has done, it's just surprising. I thought they would be more an improved team, but you got to give a lot of credit to what Munster's done. Their defense looked absolutely solid last week. Shut
out Morton at home for nothing. At Morton.
Yeah, that really got my attention. Not just that they won the game, but they shut out Morton. I think that spells trouble for Griffith and their offense. And I don't think they're getting Justin Green the ball enough. I heard he only had 6 carries last week. Obviously not enough for a player of his caliber. I like Munster. I think their defense is going to do a great job of holding down Griffith. I think the Mustangs get the job done.
Sure, and again, Leroy Marsh has always been one of the best defensive coaches in the area. Him and the staff do a great job.
Let's move on to a non-conference, but it's a big rivalry matchup. Kankakee Valley, they have been just on fire the last couple of weeks. We kind of talked about Griffith struggling. How about KV? Offensively, putting up 39 points, and their defense has been just outstanding. Taking on a very wounded North Judson squad. They lost their top running back last week to a broken leg. They're just really depleted right now offensively. Big rivalry matchup. Obviously, these two head coaches know each other quite well. Can North Judson lick their wounds on the road, Bob?
Well, it's a matchup of good old friends, former coaches together. Brad Stewart, the longtime defensive coordinator under Kirk Kennedy. Kirk Kennedy now at North Judson. It's going to be an interesting game. If you love running the football, this game's going to be over in an hour, Joe. And I think KV's found something with this unbalanced 8-man line that they unveiled last week or 2 weeks ago at KV in the second half. That almost gave them the victory. They ran it down Griffith's throat last week. In a game that the only thing missing Friday night in Wheatfield is going to be the leather helmets. I look for Kankakee Valley to find a way to get the job done at Fred Jones Field. I like KV by about 10 to 12 points.
Yeah, Bob, you said last week KV's going to go on a run, and this is the start of the run. KV wins this game big time, JT. Big time.
Big time. Well, Bob knows his stuff. He knows what he's talking about. I can't go wrong with what he said. KV's looking strong, and I think this is going to be an ugly game for North Judson. The way they've been playing the last few weeks, but a lot of it does have to do with losing so many key offensive players. KV is just at another level right now. I'm looking at maybe a 3 or 4 touchdown win for the Cougars at home. That's just how well they're playing right now. North Newton, they're on the road. They're playing Whiting. Joe, You love those Whiting Oilers.
I love the Oilers, JT.
They took care of business
Love it.
last week,
I'm
didn't
gonna
they?
tell you why. Coach Kane has 3 undefeated seasons under his resume, JT. And you know what? This year is going to be a 4th.
It's going to be a 4th.
Whiting wins this game.
So that means they got to beat North Newton. North Newton gave up a lot of rushing yards. To
would have been against
Forest.
River Forest State. I was playing with a backup quarterback last week.
Yeah.
As the Ingots got the job done in Morocco last week. This time they're playing the Whiting Oilers, and if you're a Whiting fan, I think you got to be encouraged. They've been getting off the slow starts all year last week. They kind of woke out of their first half slumber. I think they put 29 points on the board in the first half against Bishop Knoll. That's a pretty good Bishop Knoll team last week. Straight shot up US 41. It's going to be a long trip back to Morocco for the Spartans. Give me the Oilers by about 3-4 touchdowns.
Yeah, I got to agree with you guys. Whiting just at another level. North Newton really been struggling since that opening win against South Newton. I got the Oilers. They're improving. They're getting better, and they're going to have to get better. How about this matchup? You know, this game over the years has been consistently one-sided. River Forest taking on Wheeler. It's at Union Mills. I have a feeling this is going to be another one-sided game, but I think it's going to go on the side of the Ingots.
JT, you remember a few years ago when Wheeler had that big lead, and they still came out in the second half with an onside kick?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
River Forest gets their revenge Friday night. Give me the Ingots and Malachi. I'm going to butcher his last name. Salah?
I don't know. I'm not
We're
sure
going
how to say
to
it.
Malachi. He's got a great name. I like it.
All right.
I'm just looking at the schedule here. I do not think, going back here, the Ingots have ever beaten Wheeler. Actually, once.
They did beat Wheeler. When?
It's actually done it twice. The first 2 years Wheeler was at the varsity level. They beat them in 2000, 28-14, and in 2001, 40-14. Those wins under my current broadcast partner, Tim Galt, by the way.
Wow. So he's definitely going to have some interest.
I think the quarterback should be back this week for River Forest. I think Wheeler's just been struggling this year. They lost the Clemsack Bowl last week by a pretty wide margin. Wheeler's going to have to finally get the ship right this week. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I think the Ingots pull one out at the Bill Logan Field.
Yeah, this is. I never thought I'd see the day.
Or Ray Bandit Field, by the way. I'm getting confused with the gymnasiums.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever see the day where Wheeler would be seen as an underdog in this game when they play River Forest. But boy, just things have really gone south for them, and the way they played last week, my goodness, South Central just took them out back and whipped them pretty good. I like River Forest by a couple touchdowns here. I think Wheeler just definitely has a lot of issues and can't really explain. They're 1-4. It's surprising to me, but I think they're going to be 1-5. I'm with you guys. I got to take River Forest. South Central and Lake Station. How about this? These are two teams who won their first game of the season last week, and now they're going head to head. So somebody's going to get their second win. Somebody's going to have a win streak. And you got to think with the Lake Station beating Calumet. Lake Station's feeling pretty good about themselves. They're playing at home. Joe, do they have any chance of taking out the Satellites?
You know what, JT? They don't. I like Clemsack a lot. He's really had Lake Station's number for basically all of his coaching career. I'm taking the Satellites in this one.
Well, you look at it, the main bugaboo all year for Lake Station was the turnovers. They took care of it last week, and for what it sounded like, they were throwing caution to the wind offensively with the play call last week. And what do you say? The greater the risk, the greater the reward. And congratulations, getting Rich Lunsford at his first win. That being said, I think it's going to be a tough go for the Fighting Eagles this Friday night against the Satellites. Satellites in orbit over the Eagles. Give me South Central.
Love me some Satellites.
Where's your South Central jersey?
I don't know. I was really impressed. I'm sorry. I was just kind of in awe of what Portage did last week. So that's why I had to go with this one.
Well, my Kansas City Chiefs are 3-0, but I did not bust out the Christian Okoye jersey today.
Well, he would have been proud if you would have done that.
Wow.
As I'm sure he was. He's a dedicated, loyal viewer of this program.
Friends on Facebook.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Christian Okoye would agree with me when I say that South Central is definitely going to win this ball game. He's a big fan of the Satellites, so yeah, we'll definitely go with South Central here. Let's go back up to the DAC. We've got two teams heading in opposite directions. Valparaiso, they've won 3 in a row. Crown Point, they've lost 3 in a row. Something's got to give, right? Big game at, well, it's going to be at Crown Point. And
Is it homecoming week for the Bulldogs?
I don't know.
Not quite yet.
Okay, we're getting to that point of the season,
Yeah,
though,
we
gentlemen.
are. We are.
Well, you know, Valparaiso been kicking it up in the DAC play after losing their 2 non-conference games. Though Crown Point has struggled mightily. They've only scored 16 points the last 3 weeks, and that includes a loss, a shutout loss to Lake Central in Week 4. Really, you look at it outside. You look at the points on the schedule. You take the 30 points they scored off the board at Mishawaka Week 2. This is a Crown Point team that in their other 4 games has only scored 32 points. That's an 8-point per game average, and as good as that defense is, that puts a lot of pressure on that defense.
You know, JT, I think they're going to get some players back defensively this week, and that's why I'm going to call this my upset special, JT. Crown Point, they hardly ever lose at home. I'd never bet against Crown Point at home, down at the dog pound. I think this coach has got to see in game film that we got to get Tristan Peterson to the outside. I mean, even though the runs were designed with the middle, he'd still bounce on the outside and pick up big yardage. That's really the only yardage they ever got. That one nice design draw play that worked really well. I believe he's got to see this on tape that in between the tackles aren't working. That's why I'm taking Crown Point, baby. Upset special.
You know, you look at the games in recent years between these two, they've been defensive slugfest. They're not going to see a lot of points. Last year was a rare exception, 28-21 in the regular season, then 23-15 in the playoffs. 2011, a game I did, 21-14 Valpo, and then 12-10 Crown Point, 10-7 and 16-6 in 2010. So if you're looking for run and gun offense, this will not be a game to your liking. This is going to be good old-fashioned smash-mouth football. I just think at this stage, Valparaiso is rolling a little bit. I think they're going to find a way to get a couple big plays offensively, just like they did last week. They took advantage of a turnover, and then they unleashed a big play through the air, hitting up with his wide receiver. I look for this to be like a 17-10 type game. I like Valpo on the road.
You know what? I definitely was not encouraged by what I seen with Crown Point last week. I really think in the second half that you know, when the game started getting out of hand, I think a lot of players just kind of threw in the towel. Offensively, with what I've seen, Joe, I think you're absolutely right.
Am I ever wrong?
Well, no, of course not. You're never
What?
Crown Point
I
obviously.
thought you said upset for Michigan City last week, if I recall.
It was close
Until the kickoff.
I think Crown Point obviously has to get. Yeah, they got to get Tristan Peterson in a better position. They got to find more rhythm offensively, string together more positive plays. They just didn't have that against Portage. Too many unforced mistakes. They threw 2 pick sixes. I mean, they did a lot of things that you don't see a Crown Point team do. I think this is a team that I think they're desperate. They have to win this game. Their season is really hanging in the balance right now. They lose this game. I know that they're better than LaPorte. I know they're better than Michigan City. But when you have a team that has no confidence and is playing with no confidence, you're going to lose to lesser opponents. So I think this game is incredibly important for Crown Point. Initially, I was going to take Valpo to win this game. I was going to pick Valpo. But I do think Crown Point's defense can step up and make just enough plays for their offense to squeak this one out. Bob, I'm with you. The score is going to be low. It's going to be low scoring, probably in the teens.
If you love defensive slobber knockers,
yeah, I'm gonna take Crown Point, even though I really don't have a whole lot of confidence in their offense right now. I do think their defense can hold down Valpo. I'm not completely sold yet that Valpo is going to be a contender in the DAC. Hey, they might prove me wrong. We'll see. I'll take the Dogs, maybe like 16-13 or something like that. Some kind of low-scoring game. Here's an interesting ball game. Indianapolis-Arlington. Bob, I know you know a lot about their program.
A few years ago, they were 5A, now they're 2A.
Wow.
Well, they're going to play a 4A school up here in Gary. They're going to take on the Cougars of West Side.
Saturday afternoon game, by the way.
West Side, they brought out the fireworks last week against Hammond. They put up 55 points on those boys, and they really they were impressive.
Actually, I stand corrected. Arlington is a 1A school now.
It went from 5 to 1A. How does that happen?
Wow.
All the good kids went to Pike.
Well, the northeast side, they've done some rearranging with some of the IPS schools down there, though. We got Arlington and West Side. This is an Arlington team that's only won four. Well, looking at it right now, as I look up, they are 2-2, but Traders Point Christian and Oldenburg Academy, they're 2 wins.
Not exactly the cream of the crop.
And lost to Tinley, and they gave up a double nickel last week to Heritage Christian.
They're pretty good.
Heritage Christian is, yes. So is West Side. Their honorable mention this week, the best playmakers on the field with the Ohio State-bound Johnson. At receiver, look for the Cougars to take care of business Saturday.
Joe?
Oh, JT, I completely agree. They got a Division I prospect at wide receiver, and I believe 2 other possible Division I players right there. The other Johnson and the quarterback. Cougars all morning on Saturday.
All morning and all afternoon.
All day and all of the night, if you're a fan of the Kings. Yeah, as of 2008, they were a 5A school. Now they're 1A.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. West Side, they're going to, as you would say, Joe, they're going to score early and often in this one. All right, we'll go back to the DAC. This becomes a pretty big matchup here. Chesterton and Portage. We know this is a pretty big rivalry game. It's at Portage. And of course, Portage comes away with their first conference victory last season, or last week against Crown Point. Chesterton loses a tough one at home to Valpo. Both teams, Portage looking to continue, the quality play, and Chesterton obviously needs to turn around. What do you guys think here?
Well, Chesterton's going to be fired up. They gave one away last week. That they're probably still kicking themselves. Portage riding the crest of finally their exodus away from the warpath, and now they got back-to-back games at home. I think this has the potential of being a real interesting ball game, Joe. This is what I like to call a coin flip game.
A coin flip? Well, which one did it flip?
Well, let's find out.
Who gets heads?
I don't know.
Well, the Indian head on the field, that should be heads.
All right, Portage's heads.
Portage's heads, Chesterton's tails.
We are looking here as we bring out the Thomas Jefferson here.
Nickel.
Heads, Portage, tails, Chesterton.
Wish we could zoom in on this.
Heads!
It's a heads.
It's a heads!
So you're taking P-Town.
I gotta go with the coin, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna
Coin
say
never.
Portage in an overtime thriller.
Thriller. Joe, how thrilling is this going to be?
It's not going to be like
No,
JT. I'm telling you. Look at the strength of schedule here, JT. Look at this. Who does Chesterton beat? I think you give them one quality one. I'll say maybe Munster's a quality
Beat
one.
Munster.
They should have beat South Bend St. Joe.
Portage has the toughest schedule on the DAC. The toughest.
That is true.
And now I told you, I'm never going to bet against them. After that win against Crown Point, they're going to go on a roll. I'm going to pick Portage every single week now until they play Penn.
Shades of 2006, huh?
That's what I was saying.
Maybe, quite possibly.
Well, they lost big to that Crown Point team, but then they hit fire against Chesterton, and they're going to smoke them at the Warpath.
I think, this is a big rivalry game. 2 schools, the old saying, no love lost. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. And again, the coin flip says Portage in an overtime thriller.
Well, you know what? I don't need a coin to flip because I got something else that's a little bit better.
You're gonna flip the cheese?
We're going to flip the cheese onto the table.
Are you sure you're with the Portage? You have hands like you with the Griffith.
Yeah, probably. I have no doubts in this game. I saw what I needed to see last week. This is definitely a different Portage team than what that showed the last several years. They did it on both sides of the football. Their defense was outstanding. Helped Crown Point to a field goal. Chesterton lost the game. I thought for sure they were going to beat Valparaiso. Chesterton kind of on the slide right now. Portage playing their best football of the season. I think it continues here. I don't think they're going to, dominate Chesterton on the scoreboard, but I think that they're going to win by 1 or 2 scores. Portage definitely my pick for Cheesehead Lock of the Week. And we haven't been wrong since week 1. Week 1, the Cheese let me down. But since I brought the Cheese back into the spotlight,
It's a heck of a streak.
hasn't let me down. I mean, it's 4 straight weeks. We're going to make it 5. Portage,
Gotta go with the Cheese.
Portage can't let me down. There's no way. I think I'm with you. I think I probably will pick them in every game the rest of the season. Just the way that they're playing right now, you got to feel encouraged from last week. So I'm taking Portage. All right, and we're gonna kind of switch gears here. We're gonna go to a kind of an honorable mention game. Obviously, we have a big 3. There's one game that we don't really talk about these teams very much, but this is definitely a very meaningful game, not only in their conference, but of course they play in the same sectional with the Whiting Oilers, who a lot of us think will probably go undefeated, and they'll have to deal with one, if not both, of these squads. Winamac at West Central. These are 2 top 10 1A programs, and with Lafayette Central Catholic now in 2A, I think these 2 teams definitely become contenders in Class 1A. And obviously, this is probably for the Midwest Conference Championship here. Pioneer kind of out of the mix after Winamac took care of them earlier this year. Bob, what are your thoughts here?
Well, there was no greater turnaround than last year. You know, in the regular season, West Central won 49-7 in the regular season. And then with a sectional championship on the line, Winamac went to West Central in Francisville and dropped a 49-13 bomb on the Trojans. And now both teams have been playing heads and shoulders. They are probably the 2 teams to beat in the Pioneer Conference. Winamac's got wins over Pioneer, which is really their closest game of the year. They're averaging 52 points a game all year, so they've been putting up points up the wazoo. West Central has been scoring points in bunches for the most part, with the exception of their opening game win against Culver. They only scored 18 in that one, 18-6. This time, West Central is at home. You got to think they are still smarting from that game a year ago with a sectional title, but I've been hearing nothing but good things about Winamac. Veteran head coach Tim Roth in his 33rd year, they say this is the best team he's ever had. And he's had some pretty good teams. He had a semi-state team in 2000 with his late son being the star of that team. I'm going to go out with those maroon and white clad Warriors from Winamac. I like Winamac on the road this week.
I agree 100% again with him. JT, I'm taking the Warriors, baby. You look at the Sargent ratings, it's not even close.
Sargent?
The Sargent?
Sagarin.
Sagarin. Thank you for the correction there.
The Sargent ratings. I smell a panic coming, though.
But hey, here we go.
Wow.
Winamac, number 95 on that list. West Central 154. So I'm taking Winamac, JT, with a similar score from the sectional game.
Well, you know what? Winamac, I think, has probably the best win, the best quality win over Pioneer. They really picked up right where they left off in sectionals after they had that huge game against West Central. Obviously, they lost to Lafayette Catholic, but this season they have been on a roll every single game. And believe it or not, guys, I've watched film on both of these teams.
I don't doubt that.
I don't doubt it at all. West Central, I like their offense. They run a nice little pistol scheme. Have a really athletic quarterback.
For Darren Rodriguez, used to be an assistant at Chesterton a while ago under John Snyder, the head coach at West Central.
This is definitely going to be the toughest offensive team that Winamac has played. West Central has a lot of speed. But I go back to last year's game. I watched the film from that game last year, and Winamac really just loaded up the box, and they really took away a lot of those running options. The sweep, the dive up the middle. They really just kind of sold out to stop West Central's run game. I think the defense for Winamac is a little bit better than West Central's. West Central has actually had a pretty competitive game for about 3 quarters with North White before pulling away. I think the strength of schedule has been a little bit better for Winamac. I'm going to take the Warriors as well. I'm with you guys. This team's for real. I've heard a lot of things. I know somebody on Facebook who knows everything about Winamac football. And he says, other coaches are telling him that they think Winamac is the best team in 1A right now.
I've been doing this a long time, watching high school football. This is my 17th year in media, watched it for a number of years. Before beginning in media when I was in school or whatnot, I don't remember seeing a team turn around last year when you lose 42-7 and then have a 78-point turnaround for mid-season to win by that wide of a margin in a sectional championship. I can't remember off the top of my head seeing anything like that.
That is quite impressive.
All right, let's move to the big 3 games of the week.
Would you like a crown, or you already had the cheese head?
Yep.
For those of you who didn't get it, that was a parquet reference.
I better hand this thing over to you. Or do you
Because
like
you
the
have to do the power play.
Yeah,
Gold or the silver? Which one do you like, Bob?
Well, I'm from Griffith, so naturally it's gold.
All right. First on our list, this is another team down south. We talked about them a little bit. Rensselaer, they're having an amazing season. They're 5-0. Been very impressive so far. At West Lafayette this week, the Red Devils are also 5-0. They had a very impressive win over Tipton last week. It was like 34-10. Just blasted them. If Rensselaer could win this game, they got a shot. They have a shot at maybe winning out. I know Lafayette Catholic is still going to be tough, but if they can beat West Lafayette, then we know that this Bomber team is capable of beating anybody in that conference. What do you guys think? Rensselaer 45-0 shutout win over Twin Lakes last week. This team is obviously for real. Doing it on both sides of the ball. Joe, we went down there, 3 years ago. I think we take a little bit of credit for some of the media around here starting to take notice of Rensselaer. And
we'll take all the credit, JT. Don't give anyone else anything. We take all the credit.
But so when the Times came out with an article like 2 weeks after we went down there or something like that. But
they probably saw our YouTube video and like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Actually, I could one up you. About 10 years ago, we were doing a show when we first started on Sports Juice. We were doing a show at a local establishment in Maryville, and Coach Meeks actually drove up to be on our show. This was about 10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, you drove all the way up from Rensselaer. Far drive.
Well, speaking of far drives, West Lafayette's pretty far distance.
Not really. It's about a 45-minute drive.
Fair enough. How fast are you driving, Bob?
I got speeding tickets.
All right.
Does that prove it? I got a lead foot.
All right. Well, Bob, what do you think here? West Lafayette.
I look at West Lafayette. Of all the teams up north in 3A, if I'm an Andrean fan, this is the team I would be most concerned with. It would be a semi-state game. From what I've read on West Lafayette, you want to talk about air raid offense. They score, and they score quick. I mean, their average scoring plays or drive are like 3-4 plays for every touchdown to drive. I mean, they scored 26 on a Tri-West team, what a lot of people thought was championship timber going into the season. And then 56, 50, 51, last week 34 over a wounded Tipton team, but they did that on the road. West Lafayette and Rensselaer, I think the one thing disadvantage for Rensselaer, they don't see a lot of air raid spread teams on their schedule. And West Lafayette's got athletes up the wazoo. Don't forget, they know how to play football defensively. They're a state championship in the most recent years. I just think the Red Devils have too many weapons. I like West Lafayette by a couple touchdowns over Rensselaer.
All right, Bob. Again, I 100% disagree with you on this one. We've been agreeing way too much.
Yeah.
And I hate.
You hate agreeing with people.
I hate agreeing, JT. That's why. And I also hate betting against Coach Meeks. That's why I'm going to take the Bombers come Friday night.
You like the Bombers on the road. This is going to be their toughest game. They beat Tipton. It was a close game.
And that was the game where Tipton's quarterback was out, right?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have their.
That's about probably the closest offense they've seen comparable to West Lafayette.
Yeah, and I obviously West Lafayette's just at another level from Tipton. Don't get me wrong. I think Rensselaer's a great team, and I really think they're going to make a deep run in the playoffs. What I've seen. They're definitely going to be the team to beat in their section.
There are still people speculating that outside of Andrean, the second best hope from Northwest Indiana to get to Lucas Oil might be the Bombers.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, from what I've seen, I think they got a real shot in 2A, especially with what happened to.
There's a certain team in Lafayette that's up north still.
Yeah, well, I think they might be a little bit vulnerable this year, and I tell you what. I like West Lafayette at home just because I think they're a little bit stronger team, and they probably will. There's a good chance they might be the biggest threat to Andrean and
You
their
know,
hopes to gain the state.
all I know is they played a Cass team that you saw last year, had a good amount of talent back, and they put 56 points on that Cass team in 2.5 quarters.
Yeah. Well,
And again, they scored their 56 point, they called it with lightning.
Hey, I've seen West Lafayette play before. I know it's been 3 years, but the offense they're just a wide open. They sling it all around the field. They don't run the ball very much. They just depend on big plays. This is a big play offense, and unfortunately, I think they have some really good athletes, really good talent.
From what I read last week in their game against Tipton, it was scoreless in the quarter. Then they scored 28 points in the second quarter. I think they scored 28 points on like 10 plays.
That's what they do. Yeah.
That is a big play. I don't know what is.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got 2 Red Devils and 1 Bomber, and we'll see what happens there. Let's move on. We got a different Red Devil team playing Lowell, taking on Hobart. This is a really big conference matchup. You think about it, Northwest Crossroads Conference, Hobart's trying to stay in the race for that NCC title. They got to win this game to have any hope of, at least splitting a share of the championship. Lowell's defense has been outstanding all season long.
They have not given up more than 16 points in a game all year.
Yeah, and then I had somebody on my page predicting Hobart to win 35-7. And I was like, have you been watching what's been happening this whole season? It's hard for me to believe that Lowell's going to give up 35 to Hobart. And Hobart hasn't won a game over 20 points all season either. They've been in a lot of competitive games that have come down really into the fourth quarter. So, I think this has the makings of a classic, just classic, close, one-score type game. That's kind of what it's been for the most part. You think about it, the last several years. It's usually close, and one way or the other, this game usually comes down to the last possession. That's how it's always been.
You look at how the teams have done this year. Lowell's won 3 in a row, but the 2 games that they lost were games where they had a chance to finish at the end of the game, and they did not get the job done. And then you look at the Hobart slate, they're 4-1, but they could very easily be 2-3, but they made plays at the end of the game. And don't underestimate how big that is. Veteran poise, senior poise, the willingness to refuse to lose. I just think it's going to be another nip and tuck game, but I think Hobart, as they've had all year, is going to find a way to pull one out of the fire at home. Something tells me it's going to be a Dre double late touchdown, or Nick Boken, who did not really, he wasn't much of a factor last week against Andrea. I look for him to bounce back. It's going to be a low-scoring game. I think Hobart's starting to right their ship defensively a little bit. Lowell is going to find a way to try to bust out George Fields and company, but I think Hobart's going to contain him a little bit. Really, the only big touchdown run they gave up was the 80-yarder to Silver, but other than that, Andre was able to churn out yardage, but they did not have a lot of big runs per se. They had about maybe 4, but they did a pretty good job. But I think Hobart finds a way to pull one out of the fire. I see this being like a 21-18 type game. I like Hobart.
He likes Hobart. I don't know who I like, JT. I'll tell you right now.
It's a coin flip game.
It's definitely a coin flip, JT. I'm sitting here all week long looking through all the stats, all the, who did Hobart play?
Doing all your research like a good analyst.
Absolutely. Who's Lowell played? Who's Hobart played? Who they beat? And I tell you, one thing came down to me. I looked at a similar game, a similar opponent.
Okay.
I went back to the KV game for both of them, and it's hard to do because I know KV is playing much better football than they were earlier. Hobart beat them 28-27, and I saw Lowell. They ended up.
It was 27-14.
Yeah, it was a 2-score game. And Andy said something earlier in the show, and I completely agreed with what Andy said. I think just somehow Lowell's defense is going to find a way. They've been solid all year long defensively, and I think George Fields is going to. I think he's going to run for 2 or 3 touchdowns in this game, and Lowell's going to come away with a close one.
Yeah, I think you guys make some very good points. I definitely don't see this being a runaway for either team. I look at Hobart last week. We could talk about their offense all we want. They still only scored 14 points. And I think that's definitely a concern. Lowell's magic number has really been 14 points. You look at 3 out of the 5 games, it's been 14 points. And they definitely overlooked Highland last week. I could tell, watching the film. Defensively they were great. Offensively, I think they took a step back. I think they were more or less looking to this game. This is Hobart's homecoming game, and we know at homecoming games it's usually a big momentum shift one way or the other. You're either going to come out fired up or you're going to come out flat. I think I'm with you, Joe. As far as I think Lowell's offense can do just enough as long as they don't beat themselves with turnovers.